If he really has to go to core tech job, number of jobs are not that much. That's like 10 lakh plus salaries and all that. If you look at 10 lakh plus salary, what percentage is getting placed? Probably about 10%, 15% will get placed at 10 lakh plus salary. So those jobs, if you have to train, then we really need to set up the center of excellences.
Good afternoon, good evening. I think I have a difficult job of asking questions to these folks because they know the answers very well. I sent the questions to them at 2 a.m. in the morning, and none of them seemed to be intimidated about the questions. I felt the questions were a little, you know. So why don't we just start with introductions, sir? Maybe you can introduce yourselves, and then we could.
I'm Dr. Madan. I head the Rathinam Group institutions and tech parks. We have a ecosystem where we have multiple institutions. We have crossed about 10,000 students now. I run 5 schools. Plus, we have a tech park in the main campus. We have a tech park with about 7,000, 8,000 people working. And also I have an incubation center, Atal Incubation Center funded by Government of India. And so basically we try to create an ecosystem, including industry, incubation center, institutions, and living into one campus. That's the model which we have done here. I basically built this whole structure. That's what it is. Last 20 years journey. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Senthil Ganesh. I'm Managing Trustee of RVS Group of Institutions. We run colleges across different streams and have around 20,000 students. And I'm happy to be part of it.
Hi, this is Avanti Natarajan. I'm the Director of Student Affairs at Paavai Group of Institutions. We have around 12 institutions from engineering, arts and science, allied health, schools, and IAS Academy. We have around 14,000 students. Mr. Natarajan, my father, is the founder and chairman of a group of institutions. On the other hand, I'm an architect. I also co-founded a company called the Tab Infinity, which is a design, tech, and marketing company which I co-founded with my husband. So now I'm shuttling between my startup as well as from the institution. And I would also give you one fact that I'm the youngest in the panel, I guess. So I'm also looking forward to share and learn at the same time. No, about this people. No, he's my senior from college. Yeah, I'm sure about that.
Happy evening to everyone. I think I'm Dr. Anusha Ravi, CEO of Park Group of Institutions, which was founded by my parents in the 70s, so about 55 years now. And we are also into many streams, architecture, marine, aeronautics, and different fields, environment. So a lot of different courses that we entertain in our campuses for innovation. And personally, myself, I started my career in the US after my MS in computer science in a startup, which was later acquired by Airbus. And I was part of the project that put internet on the airplane. So having worked in a startup, I understand. So I think we create an ecosystem at Park for that. And I think.
I'll introduce myself. So I'm Dhruv Suyamprakasam. So I run a company called iCliniq. So we are New York headquartered. We started here in Coimbatore. I spent 7 months in New York and 5 months I'm in Coimbatore. So yeah. So let me start with my first question. So, sir, I think I'll start with you. And I think the same question I would request all of you to answer. Most institutions, they train people for jobs. That's the perspective outside, right? How do you teach them ambition? Because to create a unicorn, to create a huge business, there has to be ambition. How do you teach that?
It's a certainly complex aspect. Even in case of an incubation center being right in the campus, and every stage we talk about that we have 5 crores in the bank, we have 10 crores in the bank to fund startups. It's very complex to bring entrepreneurial mindset to an ecosystem which is primarily driven by job market, right? Basically, today I think institutions compete by positioning placements and the value of placements and so on. So in the general ecosystem is that way, but still there is a percentage of students who might be, who are keen on entrepreneurial paths. I think the only way to harness that is identify them, place opportunities on their table, give them alternative paths to, I mean, the biggest fear for people is, right, I mean, if he is going it's 100%, that's a very important thing to crack when it comes to the student. Second thing is to show examples of his seniors who have been able to successfully do that and build 5 crore rupee company, 10 crore rupee company, which puts him ambition in his mind, right? I mean, and you cannot figure out somebody else. If you say Elon Musk made it, he's not going to relate to it. You have to tell about somebody in his senior batch who is able to build a 5 crore company, 10 crore company. By getting 10 lakhs a year, you're not going to make that money ever. So it's a good career. You have the security. You can still make like your senior. Those two examples and these inspirations, and then events around showing that this many startups, this is how they started, all these inspirational quotes could build a small portfolio of students who might go in the direction, and that will be a good start. And it is not it's not possible. I think when I started, I was running incubation even before the incubation center came. It was a difficult time at the time, but now both in Government of India and also the ecosystem has improved drastically. It's not that you're talking about something completely anonymous from all the audience. So faculty and all that, I mean, government, AICT talks about innovation. All the government bodies also talk about innovation. There is money on the table. Each one of these organizations have money. Seed fund money, Startup India has it, MIT has it. You name any big government organization, it has it. In fact, they're talking about like 1 lakh crores for deep research and investment into startups and all that. That's a big volume which is coming on. Those kind of things can be tapped by the institution on a live basis, and that opportunities bringing on table will inspire more and more people. And I think it has crossed that very initial period of non-taking off, that's crossed, and now there is a little bit of awareness, but still it's a small percentage. We have to work. It's with the institutions to work on that. Yeah, it was not.
Same question.
Question.
So there are two kinds of students in an institution, right? One is all of our institutions have really bright and really driven and ambitious students. That is what Dr. Madan Sendhil was speaking about. And there, I think we can just give them a nudge, I'm sure, like all of our institutions are doing various programs apart from academics, and they pick up skills by themselves. I would say it's not because of the institution, I would say. I mean, those set of students are really driven, motivated, and we just have to just show them the path, they will grab and they will grow. But the real challenge is, again, how as an institution we can create this ecosystem. I guess that is what you're alluding to. And my opinion is it is very, very difficult to teach ambition in a classroom. It is like teaching swimming without taking them taking them to the swimming pool. It's very, very difficult. But what can we do? I think the deeper root goes, the higher the tree, develops and grows. So I think we have to educate them on the fundamentals, right? I mean, what we are seeing among a larger set of students across colleges, and that is what we keep hearing in newspaper articles about unemployability, about only 10% of the college graduates are unemployable. I think there we have missed in some way, drilling down the fundamentals. I think even the companies who come for interviews, they are not asking the student whether he can go and build a AI model or anything of that sort. In fact, most of the interviews, what I keep hearing from the placement team and the placement officers is, they want the students to be really, really solid in the first year syllabus or even just the first semester. And unfortunately, most of our students fail at that. So my view on that is you have to drill down on the fundamentals, you have to grow the roots, and then the tree will eventually grow as the roots get stronger.
Hello. To just add on to this, ambition, I'm just thinking when the student pass out from the school and get into an institution, the scale of ambition with which what they step into an institution is greatly influenced by where he comes from. And I strongly feel it is the role of an institution to expand their horizon. And this happens through real-time examples, constant dialogue and exposure. So at our institutions, our chairman runs a personal goal-setting program for all the students every year on year, for 100 or 100 and 200 concentrated crowd. And he covers almost all the students each year. He passionately does this for 2 to 3 months every year, where he reflects, recalibrates, and pushes them to think bigger about their dreams. Alongside, we do get leaders, founders, alumni talk series, where we invite our distinguished alumni who are there in the corporate, who have done startups, to come and share their journey. That was easy and relatable to the students because it is easy for them to visualize themselves over there and what they have to do if they want to reach that particular position. Ambition is, of course, is not a concept where you can teach it in a classroom. It is a continuous process. And I feel once, if ambition is normalized, risk-taking becomes a normal path. And combined with mentorship, institutional backup, and a good idea and perseverance, the ambition which they have take them to higher places. And that's how we approach it.
Working now? Yeah, I think they've all covered all the subjects almost. But I think the key thing for, as she was mentioning, and I had a discussion with Soumya before this, started. So the main thing is most of the students that we get, they are all coming for making a living. So beyond that, what they have to think or do is the constant exposure that they get in the institutions. That is what we need, we focus on. I tell everybody that, almost everybody, I tell them in the first day of college. So almost everybody will walk away with a degree certificate, almost everybody. And then, almost everybody with a job in the recent days. But everybody should walk away with a patent. So this is what especially being engineers, so we make them think from the first year. This drive that we conduct in the first year of engineering is called Imaginathon. It's a drive for like a marathon, imagining. So I think when the mind is set already, a mechanical engineer knowing that the cars are made with 4 wheels and how the engine works, somebody like Elon Musk had to come and think of a car without an engine and put the, even the luggage in the front. So these kind of things, we have to expose them, think out of the box. And that happens in the first year before they know the subject. So once they know the subject, the limitations are already set. Like a child who can imagine many things. So we try to inculcate these things in the very beginning, not in the final year, not in the third year. The very first year, we have drives, and those ideas have shaped into. And I think Dr. Lakshman is here, who's introduced CDIO lab and innovation. That also happens in the very first year. So I think catching them very young and giving them the exposure is what I think works. And I think Madan and I, we were in Taiwan once. I don't know if you remember the research facility that they had there. It was 600 PhDs working in one campus. And every day there are 10 new ideas, patents displayed. It is a mandatory. It is not even an option. 10 to 20 new innovations are kept. So at least my mandate in the college is at least 2 or 3 patents every year. So making them think different and from early on is need to.
think I got all great answers. So I'm going to have a different question here now. You know, in all your institutions, I know you have the curriculum to follow, set by an university, and it's autonomous. Of course, you have your own syllabus. Now, with things changing by the day, right? With AI, you have things changing by the day. For instance, yesterday there's a company called Twin.so, which launched. I think with just 2 people, you can run a 1,000 people kind of company with the swarm of agents. It's a new term coming up. So now my question is, how do you keep your students updated with these latest, AI, inventions? Right? Because they have to be ready, somewhat ready when they go for their jobs or start something. So,
Yeah, like Sendhil said, I think despite all the latest developments and technologies coming across, even if our student is studying in engineering, I think the core fundamentals is always very, very important, which even academicians and even the departments sometimes move out and they focus more on the placements, and placement industry comes and says that you train the students on this platform, then I will take the student. That's where the requirement on placement comes. The placement officer drives the department, so that's how it is. But unfortunately, as promoters, I think there will be unanimity. We keep telling them, guys, you have that groundwork in the first year, second year, and all that is very, very important, because we all are probably doing the jobs which we probably not the ones which we studied in the college, right? I mean, I studied civil engineering in the first year, and I do more civil engineering than any other engineering today. So God knows where will we land up. So the fundamentals, the basic analytical thinking, the basic engineering, the electricals and all that is core important, and regardless of your AI and all that thing which comes up. So it's not a substitute to that. Having said that, but adoption of the AI and related technologies into the curriculum has been done very drastically in the education system, whether it is in the university or the AICT. Look at I think any of the colleges, if you talk about, at least 10-20% of the students will be from AI related courses. That's what student wants, so that's why we run the courses. And if you take about computer science related courses, I think it will be 50% of the courses will be computer science related courses, because that's where the jobs are. So I think the adoption of the institution towards these technology changes will not be a challenge. We will adapt very fast. But how deeply we adapt, okay, whether our student will be able to code a Gen AI platform and all that deep level of teaching, learning, for him to get deeper into core work, that's what is missing actually. And I think that's what is should be our focus also. That's what will be differentiating a student from generally knowing things, who will go for BPO related jobs, support related jobs and all that. If he really has to go to core tech jobs, actually the number of jobs are not that much. That's like 10 lakh plus salaries and all that. If you look at 10 lakh plus salary, what percentage is getting placed? Probably about 10%, 15% will get placed at 10 lakh plus salary. So those jobs, if you have to train, then we really need to set up the center of excellences. We need to engage with the industry and take the industry requirements. And that all comes in the pre-final year, most likely. That's where we'll start working. But the remaining years has to be grounded. And the curriculum flexibility is already provided by AICTE with autonomy. It's already provided by the university. There's no limitation in terms of the curriculum for that. In terms of adoption is also going on in a broad way, deeper way. We have work to do for that.
So you asked how are we preparing the students for the AI era, right? I mean, forget the students. Like there is a fundamental problem, or there is a problem that is impossible to solve, in my opinion, for educational institutions. That is, i.e., how do we keep up with the ever-changing world? work with the students, even for the faculty members, it's extremely, extremely difficult for them to keep changing and adapting to the ways that the industry is evolving. Now, it is very easy to go and pinpoint the finger at the faculty and say that they are not putting in the work, but it is humanly impossible with the way things are shaping, changing day in and day out. So again, the real answer to this question is whether we should stop preparing students for the future. No, I'm not advocating that. But there, again, whether it is AI, whether it is any other technology that is going to come in the future, they are all based on some fundamental principles, right? So every language, every discipline has probably a book called Principles of something, Principles of Accounting, Principles of Engineering, right? I think if it is AI, obviously mathematics, and if you really want to get into creating new models, then you need to be very, very strong in your fundamentals. Again, it is the linear algebra, calculus, whatever it is, right? But then, why are we even thinking of preparing the students to become AI developers, right? There are plenty of other jobs in the AI era where you don't need to be a very technical person. I think that is where, I think, to be very realistic, most of our institutions here, we are actually, there is a shortage of resources. One is the availability of the time for the faculty members and the money behind training the faculty members and retaining them. This is all a very, very big, expensive thing. So I think I will keep on harping back to going back to the fundamentals, and whatever you're preparing the students for, do not instantly, I think we should not try and instill that advanced knowledge in them, because it is impossible. I think most of the teachers here would agree how hard it is for the students to grasp certain fundamental concepts, right? So I think we have to go back and to the fundamentals, and then shape up the students from then, from the fundamentals. And then we have now we are having so many different companies who are coming and training the students for whatever is necessary at the third year. So I think as an institution, I think we are going back to the fundamentals, and we are rethinking how we can make our first year syllabus strong. And then we are also looking for partnerships with other companies where they can come in and they can augment the capability of our faculty. So together, I think it's a win-win situation.
This was the answer I was expecting, because, talking linear algebra and the fundamentals. In fact, our interviews have these questions. They ask questions from basic 12th standard calculus. It really helps them, helps my team to evaluate them. So I have a different question here. So now, if you follow a guy called Dan Coe on Twitter, he says this is the era of thinking. You have all the tools, you just can summon them like a genie, and they're going to help you, right? And about capitalism, there's a company called Replit. The CEO of Replit, Amjad, told it beautifully. Capitalism means if you have an idea, you should be able to implement it easily, and that's possible in the AI era, right? So I see where unicorns can come is that when we have cross-pollination, right? Let's say somebody from civil engineering department has a problem statement, and let's say they need somebody from the electrical engineering department, and let's say somebody from the mechatronics department. How do you enable this kind of collaboration and dialogue?
I know. So, intradisciplinary and interdisciplinary departmental projects are key, and which we were advocating from almost for a decade. So any symposiums, anything we host, we always make sure there are interdisciplinary departmental projects. Maybe we give a problem statement, and we encourage students from all the departments to come together and arrive at a solution. What I also see is in the belt from Coimbatore, Salem, or Namakkal, we are rich with industries, be it agri-based industries, large manufacturing units, textile clusters, and we also have a steady stream of tech and engineering-based organizations that's coming into the region as well, especially Coimbatore being the GDC for many of the multinational companies. So we achieved a goal of producing engineers who are employable for all of them. But I think the gap arises when we are not understanding the real problems in our industry. And that is a huge gap. We are talking about interdisciplinary projects and all of that, but where are you going to take those problems from? So that's why we introduce through EDC from the second year, they have to compulsorily take design thinking and entrepreneurship courses, mandatory. So as early as possible, we are injecting, identifying a problem, also developing a solution with venture insights. I would say for the past 5 years, whatever seeds we have sown, we are slowly seeing the outcomes based on that with the projects that's coming up. Some of the projects are there in commercialization process at this point of time, and patents are slowly getting awarded. So I think this is need of the hour, and we will not be able to work in silos anymore. Everything, for example, I always say, even while talking to the students, engineering is always like a passport. If you want to become a photographer, if you think that is your passion, and you're going to become a photographer after doing your computer science or electrical, you have to understand how you're going to imply your core into whatever profession you're going to take forward to. That is your USP. After engineering, I've seen people who are into management, who are into startups, who are getting back into the family businesses and scaling it up, or using that technology as a form of innovation. And that comes when we encourage interdepartmental projects within the institution. And I see that is happening across all the institutions in Ahmed.
You rightly said, I think multidisciplinary has been the word for many years now. And I think now, I think the new UGC norms and everything mandate that, not mandate, allow the students to take in different subjects as well. If they want to take chemical, they can do that. Once I think when we talked about IIT Gandhi, I think, so in first year, they have courses common to all. I mean, we all have physics, chemistry, and so most of the applied physics that we use on the iPhone or wherever, it's all applied physics. And they don't get to understand that in the first year. So they take it to the third year when they have better level of understanding and the knowledge. So there are like few shifts in the academic already happening for the multidisciplinary approach. And not always everything can be taught in a classroom or in technology. Right, we have all these culturals, and everybody, all of us are forced to work on celebrities, and the students do an amazing job collaborating. So these kind of ecosystem, I think, puts them ahead of many things for achieving that working together, bringing solutions together. And I think nowadays the generation that I have seen, I've done 5 TEDx Coimbatore, and all these things, the kids are above and beyond our expectation. You just give them a little spark and, they go light up a rocket or something. So that kind of energy and enthusiasm and, passion, see, it's just providing the ecosystem. That is a thing. And already.
One thing I learned is that all of you are entrepreneurial. So that's something that is really interesting. So I want to start with you, ma'am. So we need to become unicorns, we don't need to solve many problems, just solve one problem in a focused way, right? So I think being entrepreneurial and being entrepreneurs, do you personally think of problems and think that your students can do something about it? Let's say it's something about pollution. I'm just randomly telling something.
Yeah,
So,
understand Tamil?
yeah, very well.
Yeah. So now, whenever the students come with, all those problems they come with to the office or admin or whatever. Now the mandate is that, you come with a problem and you come with a solution also. You give me three options of solution and I'll implement one for you. So you make them think, the solutions. Definitely we all think about entrepreneurship and, try to solve all the problems. And doesn't need to be problems, there's a lot of ways to startups. And recently I was interviewing a person and, they have sold, a person in the US has sold rocks when the depression was going on in US. They've sold rocks for $5. This is in the 1970s. And almost 1 lakh stones he has sold to people. You know, there are options that if you want to make it big, there are so many things that can be done. Today in India, I think we have about 2 lakh in 26. And I think the number is going to be increasing. And especially solving single problem for being a unicorn, I think I see a lot of options, and the whole world is taking notes of what we are doing in India, especially like the delivery that we have. And you know, I don't even know how they deliver in 10 minutes. Sorry, I think my voice is not cooperating much, but I think you know, there's a lot of options today. If somebody wants to create that unique solution and go all the way, sky is the limit. I think there are enough problems as well. You know, somebody, you know, in Bangalore, you would have seen that pothole thing, and somebody came up with a solution. There is a you know, app where you can upload the you know, potholes. And I don't know, any developing world, like I was traveling in between Czech Republic and Poland. And the moment we entered by the car, and the moment we entered Poland, the car started shaking. The roads are different. You know, it's like from our state to another state. So we can see everywhere there are problems, and there are equally good solutions. And if somebody wants to work on it, definitely, I think there's a lot more unicorns. And another thing is, another example that we heard is we have a lot of clusters, right? Sivakasi, you know, here Coimbatore SMEs, I mean MSMEs, there are about 50,000 manufacturing. So in the Mari, clusters are getting created. And today, to have a healthy cluster for, you know, even e-commerce, we don't have one. There is no one particular place that we can go and give. So on the Madri, we have to create clusters that are powerful enough to, you know, create more startups and thereby community. That is my.
So again, I'm coming to the Kongu belt itself. Entrepreneurship is completely not new to us, Ilya. And entrepreneurship is also not just about starting a startup, but also building, scaling an organization within also. It's not always about starting a startup. How, as a team, you are getting into it, and how you're trying to build that organization and take ownership as the organization grows. While we're talking about unicorns, why I mentioned here is this belt is known to entrepreneurship. So if we are not able to create unicorns, who are? I think we are all have done the base work, and we are in the right point of time. We have good talents. Institutions are working in a conducive way where they can support startups. The government is coming up with a lot of incentives and a lot of programs which will encourage the startup ecosystem as such. And talking about the problem, and there is not one right solution to a problem, right? So sometimes I feel we are settled when we arrive at one solution. So if students can look beyond that, I think that's what hackathons or even the innovation competitions, challenges are also creating amongst the students. Our correspondent ma'am, she always tells whenever students go to, I mean, like exactly like what Anusha ma'am was telling, we have a problem during the logistics of Paavai. So she immediately called the EEE department and CSE department and the civil department. We were talking about the intra-department projects as well. And we were like, this is a problem, help us solve it. It did become a project by themselves, and we are starting to get new products which we can implement within the institution. I think this in turn also encourages the entrepreneurial spirit of the students. So with the right mind shift, I think we'll be able to be there no time sooner. And also in this belt, we always looked education as the pathway to stability. Coming from livelihood of, which depended greatly on agriculture, stability was very crucial for us. And that's why institutions also initially they prioritized academics, placements, and predictability as key factors. But this is consciously evolving, and institutions also creating environments where students can speak up, ask questions, experiment, getting mentorship from the entrepreneurs and industry. With all these conducive systems, we are seeing students have the space to experiment and work on meaningful projects. And slowly, we are seeing a hike in the startup ecosystem within the institution, which we are seeing when they get out of the institution also how it continues. The patterns are coming in, seed funding are coming in, and how students are starting themselves and they act out like a venture capitalist and they wanted to invest in something. So these culture also happens side by side.
Sir, I mean, if you look at the problem statements again, somebody living in an apartment only can create a MyGate app. There's an app called MyGate where they help you to get into apartment. I don't think somebody who's living in a villa may not know the problem statement. Like that, being entrepreneurs, right? So how do you help your students get the problem statements? Because they'll be able to show their business skills or tech skills or whatever skills they know through the problem statement. Do you help identify them?
See, we don't have to actually go beyond our campus itself to get problem statements. Each and every one of our campus has enormous problems that needs to be solved, whether inside the classroom, outside the classroom, whether it's in the admin, whether it's in the finance department. Every department of ours is a veritable source of sourcing problem statements. So what we have started to do is, like, we have started to expose students on what problems each and every department is facing in terms of accomplishing their objectives, whether it is our non-academic departments especially. There is a shortage of resources, right? We cannot say that we can fully fund each and every department to the fullest extent. So within the limited resources, they have to accomplish their objectives. And that itself is a very rich ground for sourcing problem statements. And there are lots of very structured way of thinking that many organizations come and give students the training, how to think through the problems, how to structure the problems. Before even you go to the solution, you have to be very, very thorough with the problem statement. Solutions can come only if you understand the problems threadbare. I think in a startup, that is what we keep advocating for students who are interested in entrepreneurship. Forget about solutions, try to understand the problems to the fullest extent. And the problem statements are there in your doorstep, whether it is on the campus or, as you rightly said, whether they are living in an apartment complex. Problems are there everywhere, right? So that is the first thing. And second is, like, we always tell them that you have to actually go and, in startup terms, you probably understand this a lot better than me. They say that you have to create a beachhead. You have to satisfy a small set of customers and you have to delight them before you actually go and become everything to everybody. So do not worry about going and thinking about unicorns. Yeah, this is all good. But first, try to satisfy that core set of customers, and from there you expand. And that is, I probably think that is called as the beachhead, right? So this is the second thing that we are advocating among our students. And we are slowly seeing results, but I think it's going to take some more time for us to see palpable results in a larger community. Again, there are a small set of students who are really motivated, who go out and do great things. And now, if you want to make that as a norm among all our students, among all the institutions, that's going to take a bit of time.
Sir.
Apart from what Sendhil has mentioned, I think there's hackathons which are happening across the country. Hackathons are extremely good now, and I think each organization is getting problem statements from different industries, railway industry, and all that different. And the number of hackathons which are happening across the country is not limited, and there are tons of them which are happening. And that gives very active problem statements from the industry, and students start working on it. And in fact, we have few groups which has gone beyond solving a hackathon problem, and then they started working on the real world problem for railways and all. So, and we can have hackathons inside. We can connect with the industry. That could be a very good industry institution partnership model where you can go to industry, take problem statements, run hackathons, and get the students into that. I think that will be a real problem statement source for students, actually.
So one question to you. So to build a great company, it's just not the founders, it's also the team members, right? So, I actually call a great employee as a pseudo co-founder. They should think like a pseudo co-founder, right? So some startups who are promising and who, let's say they come to your institution to hire somebody, right? They may not be able to pay the premium salaries which they might get. But they could have a promising path, which of course as somebody at the helm, you could evaluate it. So do you encourage students to take up such jobs, or do you think that the measure of success for your institution is, let's say, 20 lakhs per annum salary, or let's say this company offers 15 lakhs or 12 lakhs per annum? How do you manage that?
See, there are both kinds of students actually. Speaking, once these students are getting more and more exposed and they start attending, and they always, it's not a large majority of the students focus is higher pay package, large majority, no doubt about it. But there is a good, probably a small percentage of students who are really not focused on the salary package, but rather they will focus on the technology they work and even understand the ESOPs and all that. So the growth path, there are students who evaluate it and join. And I think that will be the good fertile ground to get those students. And there are students who are already on an entrepreneurial path, right? So those guys also you can try to catch. I think that's the best catchment for startups to get hold of good students. They are fantastic because they would have won hackathons, they would have started a problem statement, and they will have this startup mind already in there. That percentage is probably the best lot. But if you want to catch that other part, I mean, which is the majority, 90% of the kids who are more focused on the employment, I think you have to do a hard sell to say that, probably put some data saying that you get 5 years of salary, you get 5 years of salary with me. What you're going to get in terms of if my plans are going to work out, probably you can sell a vision, and I'm sure it's a smart to understand.
One follow-up question, sir. So in your institution, have you done any analysis of sorts? Let's say people who have chosen, the 10% students who have chosen jobs, which may not pay as the other jobs, but they got a lesser salary package. But then after 3-4 years, these guys probably had a higher jump. Of course, they have the individual skills also. Have you tracked those things, and do you have such data with you? It's just a curiosity.
I wish I had, but really I don't. But we have started some program now to go back and trace all the alumni and map them, and probably there are some models to cross-sell some products also, teaching products also. So it made it inevitable for us that we have to go back and get the database. We are working on it. I think probably in a little while we'll have such data.
So what about, sir?
So you want the answer to the first question or
First
second?
question.
So first is like whether we are targeting our students to get high placements. I think each and every one of our, every institution wants these star placements, right? So we are definitely not an exception to that. We really want, a few of our students to get the top placements. But if you ask me whether is that the only goal that we are striving for, the answer is emphatic no. We definitely want the majority of our students to get a decent job. And with all the talk about AI, with all the automation and everything, I think we are probably carried away a bit by thinking that AI is going to take away all the jobs and everybody has to be in that upper, in the upper, circle to make a career. Being in India, I think India is actually for the next 10 to 15 years, we are not going to have a dearth of jobs. I happen to travel to Europe and US quite frequently, and there there is a talk about how even experienced people are not having jobs. But when you come to India and when you see, you're easily seeing people moving up the ladder, and they are actually getting 30 lakhs in Coimbatore. Pay package is not something that is unheard of, right? It's becoming more and more common, and not to mention even higher salaries in metros. And in my opinion, I think AI is not going to, of course, it's going to disrupt, it's going to change the nature of jobs, but it's going to create a lot more jobs that are for the middle segment, right? Even prompt engineering, like 2 years back, none of us probably would have heard of prompt engineering. And I don't think you need really hardcore technical skills to be a prompt engineer. You can just have literally good common sense. I think we are all prompting now the large language models in some shape or form. We are actually prompt engineers ourselves, and it is easy to teach our students. So the answer is like we have to obviously every institution has to target both set of students, and I don't think for the middle segment it's doomsday going forward. It's actually good for the next 10 years, in my opinion.
I agree on that. I think so. One of the facts which I want to share here is that the fundamental human behavior is not going to change. We are all going to eat. We all need entertainment. I think more consumer brands can evolve. So speaking of consumer brands, you are an entrepreneur yourselves, and you have your design company, and you take care of the institutions as well. So do you think your students can build a consumer brand? I'm talking about something. Let's say they want to make a new perfume. They want to start something with, let's say, something like the Atomberg fan. So just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Actually, I'm working with a lot of women entrepreneurs. When coming to my business, there are a lot of textile-based brands. We work with corporates as well, but we do also work with small women entrepreneurs. I would say always we have our forte with respect to textile in e-commerce space. We have built a lot of websites, performance marketing models for brands. So I know a lot of my clients who actually make a revenue of around 40 lakhs to 50 lakhs per month with a consumer brand, just through textiles. So we would think, oh, it's a nice model somebody is building, so there's going to be a dearth of opportunity in that particular consumer brand. No. Again comes another brand, I would say from Tiruchangod or from Namakkal, and very unassuming. There are like it's just two members in the team. And again, they come and disrupt the market, and they do again the textiles, saris, and all of that. So we were wondering, even we had a conversation with one of our clients the other day. The gold price is increasing, silver price is increasing. The saris, Kanjivaram saris, the price is also getting higher and higher. But if you go to any of the textile stores, there is a crowd. So until people who are fond of saris, or because they like always say, unna unavu, udutha udai, இருக்க இடம், இந்த மாதிரி மூணு நாலு விஷயங்கள் வந்து it's going to be the basis of human evolution and presence. So we always encourage students to explore entrepreneurship, be it deep tech or consumer brand. Entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, and their vision will take them places. But before stepping into anything, do your market research, understand your vision. So those are the things which is going to help you sustain in that particular sector. So especially we have arts and science students as well. So there we are seeing a lot of initiatives when it comes to anything with respect to food-based products, even from our agricultural engineering. Yes, they do make some solar inverters and solar trapping, insect trapping machines and all of that. At the same time, they also come up with some consuming foods with innovation. How can I add protein to sabudana? Because sabudana, is very famous in our region, and it is carb-rich. So there is a gap where the younger generation are not consuming it much because it's rich with carbs. So there are some, problem statement where they wanted to infuse add-ons to it. So that's how it's happening, and we are encouraging both. And they have an amazing future. Like I said, if they are concentrating in any one of those four, there is no dearth of opportunity.
Your thoughts? Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think there are certain areas in engineering that we have, like environmental engineering. The products that they come up with, students are very creative. How to reuse the existing stuff, recycle all these materials. Every time they come up with a new brand. So as she said, it's very competitive. I think we encourage them, but I think it has to be innovative. And when I say innovative, tomorrow, if something is, you put in all your effort and everything into innovating today, and tomorrow morning somebody will just copy this. and do it. So you should be constantly evaluating your product, and lot of research on the new innovations, lot of new innovation on research, and also data. Data is a very important when you are working with consumer brands, especially like, if the store is open at this time, or, what kind of products are in demand today, as she said, market research. So this is beyond that, even your own company, any number that can be improved is only when you identify the number. So நம்ம எவ்வளோ விற்கிறோம் என்ன பண்ணுறோம்னு தெரிஞ்சால் தான் they can improve that. So everything is quantifiable. So one fix a number for everything and identify the brands that are already there. And I think with environment we've been lucky that this particular example is because there's so many products that come out today, and it's very competitive and it is also needed. So definitely it is again something that, as she said, pointed out. Sustainable living is one of the things that everybody looks after. Today, whatever choice you make, whether it has to be a value add, it has to be healthy, or it has to be sustainable. There is a new, found, observation or demand for such things. People generally flock towards, and the younger generation are more about flaunting such things rather than buying material things. So we are encouraging them to look at such value adds as consumer.
Just to add on, there are some promising development that's even happening with respect to our traditional clothes or our traditional crafts. For example, if you take E-Road clothing, they are positioning our textile brand into a global market. Even Bhavani Jamakalam, they are value adding a product. Maybe they are making it as a bag or trying to have it as a fashion, inspired by the texture and the pattern. They are coming up with textiles, fashion and all of it. Bhavani Jamakalam was recently been showcased in Paris Fashion Week through one of the designers as well. So, like we said, consumer brand always has a lots of scope. But at the same time, I always feel deep tech is a way to go forward.
Last question to all of you, sir. So, in 5 years from now, what are the top industries you think the Kongu belt you'll have new unicorns in? Just 2 industries.
Puts us to a spin. I think edutech itself, edutech and health tech startups, like I think you are there as well. So that's a good potential, because I think unicorn is, or a large startup is basically connected to the numbers on the ground. So ground of the basic work itself. So I think something which is related to, since you are saying Kongu belt, today it's happening both in education and healthcare. It's growing big time. I think some variants or derivatives of health and education will probably have some unicorns out. Just thought out of it.
I don't claim to have the answer for this, but I'm going to definitely agree to the health space, because a lot of things are happening in the health space, and we could see some unicorn coming out of that. But there is another interesting development that is happening in Coimbatore, which is the development of the real estate industry, not just residential, but also commercial. Now both in Avanashi Road and Trichy Road and Saravnambatti and all these areas, we are seeing a lot of commercial buildings coming up. And I'm not going to say this is what is going to happen, but ideally I would like this to happen. There is a lot of opportunities for PropTech companies, because these days you need, everything is becoming smart. And so the buildings are becoming smart, the tables are becoming smart, your chairs are becoming smart. And going forward, I think there is going to be a space for a company which is going to merge the physical and the cyber and physical things. So this is what Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA chairman, said. If he were to go to college now, he says that he will not study computer science, but he will study physics. The reason why he'll study physics is, going forward, he says there's going to be a lot of physical objects that are going to get smarter. And for that, you need to understand physics, how the physical objects interact with the cyber world. So much so that if you Google right now, there is a new specialization that is evolving, which is called as cyber physical systems. And I think one of our IITs have already started that program. And abroad, it's becoming a norm. So I think the future unicorn is going to be somebody which is going to combine both the physical and the cyber and the digital world.
Interesting, sir. So,
I think in top of the mind, I would agree with both of them. EduTech and healthcare. Healthcare especially, I'm seeing a lot of unicorns. There's a lot of scope for the companies to become a unicorn. I'm seeing a lot of startups. Like I have one of the companies, 60 plus, founded by one of my friend. So what they do is like the people who are settled in US, UK, or anywhere abroad. So they give care to the parents who are here. So they just started very minimally, and now they have grown up and with a lot of funding as well. So in healthcare and service industry as well, it can be tech as well as healthcare-based service industries. Also has a lot of, and edutech, because we are all coming from the industry. We know what are the problems which is waiting to be solved. If somebody is going to creatively master all that and come up with something new, I think we have a lot of scope on that as well.
I think they've mentioned it all, but I think I was going to say elderly care as well. But I think, I would bet on all the horses for Kongu region to go to the next level, because we have been waiting for that to happen for a long time. It has been in hibernation, and now I think we are seeing the IT companies coming, and things are moving faster. So the next 5 years, we can see some transformation. But the other thing that I would like to mention here is the manufacturing that are here silently doing big stuff, like the bull machine. There are a lot of people who are like taking, I think they are exporting to like 100 countries. So there's a lot of manufacturing from aerospace to, parts to Volkswagen, and get quality certificate. There are also the pipe, the manufacturing, the motors, water motors, and these are all silent things that are happening in Tirupur, for example, textile. So I expect some kind of revolution at Jamkalam. All these industries are getting revamped. So I could easily see some of those things, surprisingly coming up, making a difference in this. Like, for example, T-shirts now, 3D printing is there. Everybody can print their own T-shirts, all the countries can do it, but still going in the tradition. We can see some revolution, things can happen, and somebody just as was also combining tech and physical thing can be, we could see evolve here. And elderly care is very much growing. Coimbatore is becoming the hotspot for that. And I think I remember in one of my TEDx, we had a person who spoke about anything India. So there are so many foreign people living abroad, like NRIs living abroad. They want, even to monitor their house or clean up the house. This was done almost 10 years ago. So now we see so many of the elders living around Coimbatore, and all these homes have become fascinating. They're having extremely good time. Nobody wants to leave the place. So people are inquiring. Associated with that is the healthcare. Because the healthcare is there, the elderly industry is also coming. So it's a kind of, I can see the dots connecting here. And as I said, I would want to bet on all the horses to make sure that we win in every.
Thank you so much.
I think I have something to add. I missed it. So connecting to that manufacturing, one area which is really happening in Coimbatore is defense tech. Okay, defense tech is, we had a exhibition also. It's phenomenal. I think it's going beyond what we are all visibly seeing. And we have seen traditional companies like LMW, whose valuation in the stock market, it has already created a unicorn in the extra valuation itself. They're already a unicorn. But the extra valuation LMW created in the market by entering into defense that itself is a unicorn. Then you have your L&T, which is making the BrahMos missiles and all that. And there are companies which are making drones. the exhibition which happened in my convention center, I was really, really surprised that there are lots of things happening in Kongu region in defense tech and silently because the manufacturing base was there already, and the manufacturing base is using the defense opportunity, and India is 100% going to have lots and lots of opportunity in defense, and the whole world is looking at us for manufacturing and the labor and all that. So basically, I think that is one more area where we can have quicker unicorns in Coimbatore. Actually.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So we'll open the floor for questions. If you have any questions.
One particular topic where is this an area of concern where the availability of talent pool, especially certain programs where you don't have qualified talent, is this a concern that we need to talk now, or is it something that need to be worried about? Because number of people opting for academics as a career is also, the trend is slowing down. So what is your thoughts about it? Are we doing something about it?
Definitely employability and talent pool, the problem that you're addressing is real, it's there. But I won't say that people getting into higher education is dwindling, at least in India. It may be in the Western world because there is one metric that we track, which is called as, is it teaching community you're saying? Or talent pool in the teaching community. Okay. I think, any openings that we get, we get a lot of resumes. I don't see that, the number of people choosing is not reducing, but again, the talent pool is...
The worry is about qualified talent pool. We are engaging professor of practice. We are also engaging people from the industry to come and teach. But
See, again, let me be very plain and honest, right? Higher education, when you say quality, if you are going to define, quality can be defined at different levels, right? If you're going to define quality from the Western perspective, we will always be short of quality. It is like, we will think that we are inferior and then we have to travel a long ways. Higher education does not happen in quick bursts. And also it's a very, very expensive industry to be in. Like, for example, we are all attuned to thinking that Harvard is definitely one of the top quality institutions. Do you know, Harvard actually sits on top of $40 billion of endowment, and the tuition fees that it actually gets supports they actually, it is enough only to spend 20% of the expenses, right? The rest 80% is coming from their endowments. So I think we have to define, we have to have a new definition of quality. Now, if we start having an India-centric definition, I think we are not bad at all. I wouldn't say that we are bad, because if we are that bad, in spite of all the bad rap that we get, that our students are unemployable, our faculty are not up to the mark, we are still producing the industries are coming into Tamil Nadu, at least in Tamil Nadu, from the Tamil Nadu perspective. Our guys are getting jobs, we are going, they are making a difference. Now, learning, if you define learning from the perspective of what they absorb inside the classroom, we will always come up with the inferior definition, or we will always think that we are short of quality. What I've found, and I'm sure it is the same with many of the institutions here, the last benchers are the ones who are actually going out and performing well, and they actually, climb up the ladder, right? So they may not be actually good in the classroom, but when they go there into the workforce, there are lots of other things other than your IQ, which actually, which is EQ, for instance, that is more and more, you said you're from HR, and emotional quotient is what these days employers are saying that they want to see among the things, because a lot of this IQ stuff is getting automated, right? In fact, this is a very interesting trend that is happening. A lot of these white collar jobs now, ChatGPT is doing a much better job than any one of us or even all of us combined together, right? So where can we actually make a difference? I think interpersonal skills, emotional skills, EQ skills, that is where actually we can make a mark. And I think from the point of view of Indian standards, and especially our higher education, I think, is just a baby in the cradle. In the Western world, you see universities which are 1,000 years old. You go to Cambridge, you go to Oxford, you can see 30 colleges there, and they say that this college was started in 1100 AD, right? Our privatization started in 1984 or 83. So we are not even we are a baby in the cradle. So from that perspective, I think we are okay. Having said this, do we have to travel? Yes, we have to travel far and wide, but I think we are by and large on the right track.
The Kongu region is well endowed with financial capital, engineering talent, strong family enterprises, but still we are not getting the momentum of startups we find in other regions. Is it because of ambition levels or risk appetite or the institutional design or the industries worried about sharing their processes of non-disclosure, confidentiality? They are not able to come near the institutions to give real world problems. Or is it because of students' fear of failure or institutionals' intolerance of failure? To put a rider to this question, if Joho hadn't emerged in Tamil Nadu, could it have emerged with our current educational system?
So I have a counter question. I think maybe just jumped in. So you said compared to other markets, okay? Which market are you comparing with?
I'm not talking about the market, I'm talking about the regions.
Now, which region?
Maybe
is
the
producing
Western countries.
Oh, Western countries, okay. So if you're comparing with Western countries, then the whole platform is very different, right? See, the basic living and all that is well supported in an international environment. And for example, Germany, your education is free. And probably the families are not going to wait for the return on education to sustain. So the complete environment is different. But if you compare within India or within Asian countries and all that, I think Kongu region is doing fairly good in terms of leading this transformation. In terms of the incubation centers, I think to come to real numbers, in terms of incubation centers and in terms of startups, we are leading. Okay, I think only comparable cities will be Bangalore or your probably Delhi region, Pune. Bangalore, Delhi leads in everything in that manner because of the sheer size. But if you talk about any tier 2s, we are leading. We literally have about 8 incubation centers. Each incubation center has about 50 to 100 startups. We have a few of the incubation centers are top performing in the country and ranked as one of the best incubation centers in the country. So in terms of the number of incubation centers in the city, we lead. Number of startups also we lead, if it's compared across the country. And if you compare Asian countries, obviously India is much better than any of the Asian countries. So, uh, uh, I mean, I think I should not say Asian. I think I'm talking about SAARC countries. Mentioned wrongly, but when you compare that way, we are leading. But if you're comparing with Western countries, the platform is completely different. Completely different. When you're talking about a guy who's studying in one of the US universities, he has an option to drop out and try entrepreneurship. That option is not there with our students. To compare our students with international students may not be a right comparison, actually.
Take one more question, last question.
He had something else in addition to this, I think. Yeah. But I didn't understand. Yeah.
So I can.
Zogo, how is it connected to Zogo? Zogo is not started in Tamil Nadu. Then what?
He's asking, does the education system, if not for Zoho, does it allow to create unicorns? Am I right, sir? Yeah. That's his question.
No, again, so this goes back to your question, you're comparing with the Western standards. I'll just give you one more metric. There is economists track one metric called as GDP per capita, Tani Manida Varumanam. India's GDP per capita is less than $3,000. Any idea what is US GDP per capita? Just a figure, $85,000. $85,000. Forget US. You come to Europe, like you take UK. China is about 12 to 13,000, right? 30 or 13. Okay. So I mean, you cannot just simply benchmark with the Western world. That's why I keep harping on the idea that we have to have our own definition of quality, like or our own definition of progress. Where were we 5 years back and where are we right now? That is the right comparison, in my opinion. And from that perspective, I think Coimbatore has grown leaps and bounds in terms of startup culture. There's a lot of excellent accelerators here. Mr. Madan has, an excellent accelerator or a startup ecosystem. Forge is thriving very well, and there are many more in the annual. So I think from that perspective, 10 years, if you compare Coimbatore 10 years back and right now, I think we have made some enormous progress.
I think we're running out of time. Last question, please.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Lakshmanan, Principal Park College of Engineering Technology. So I'm regular reader of Inc. 42. I think very well.
Yeah.
Right? So in that, I'm watching what are the companies those are coming for, unicorn and all. Mostly those who are interested to make product in creating emotions. That kind of products only, they're becoming unicorns initially. Now, lot of youngsters, they are creating new startups and new products by using some venture capitals and college incubation funds and etc. But what we need from educators, we have to create confidence on students that is not available at present most of the institutions. So we are expecting confidence to the students. They'll start a lot of startups. In that, they'll create what people need. For example, உங்க வீட்டில் ₹5 வந்து என் பாக்கெட்டுக்கு வந்து வர வைக்கணும் முடியுமா சார்? I want to give some service to you. Agree or not? Then only you can give your ₹5 to me.
இதுதாங்க சீட் ஃபண்ட் மாடல். சீட் ஃபண்ட் மாடல் வந்து கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் இந்தியாவும் சரி, even Forge or our incubation center and all that, we give a lot of seed fund. We keep advertising, we keep putting notes. The problem is the confidence level for him to come and apply for it itself is missing, which only the institutions can work on it.
Yes, sir.
The institution, how it can work on it? If we go tell them, it's not going to work. So we need to bring in comparable startups, show them that you can do it.
Yes,
if
sir.
you have ideas, you break it and you teach about design thinking, innovation and all that. It's a slow process and I think it's happening.
Had to create, sir. For that, we had to implement some system. to give confidence to the students.
Yeah, I
So
think
if you have some specific ideas, put it across. We will do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Paavai,
Specific ideas, you can give us a note and we will do it.
all
I
right.
mean, I think some of them we are already trying, and I think Coimbatore it's still happening. But if there are some good ideas from okay, this is a process which can encourage a student to become an entrepreneur and all that. I'm sure we are all starving for such ideas.
Coimbatore is an entrepreneuring blood. That's why you became a very good entrepreneur now.
No, all that is fine. But how to inspire the students to become entrepreneur is the challenge. But in my understanding, it is happening, but it could happen more for sure. But what inspires him, what breaks him out of that risk, gives him that risk appetite is the big question, right? Risk appetite the main subject. இவன் 10 லட்ச ரூபா சேலரிக்கு போகாம இதை ட்ரை பண்ணணும்னா ரிஸ்க் appetite இருக்கணும். ரிஸ்க் appetite எப்படி கொடுக்கறது? அவன் வீட்டில் இருக்கிற சூழ்நிலையை பேஸ் பண்ணி இருக்கிறது ரிஸ்க் appetite.
Good one, sir. இன்னைக்கு வர்ற as a principal, I'm telling, I have connect with placement, corporate, etc. Based on my experience in sharing. இன்னைக்கு வர parents.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you take it offline because I think
last question. Yeah. Okay, last one. பேரண்ட்ஸோட எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் வந்து பையனுக்கு 10 லட்ச ரூபா சம்பளத்தில் வாங்கி கொடுத்தான்னு கேட்டு தான் பிரின்சிபல் பார்க்க வராங்க, பிளேஸ்மெண்ட் ஆஃபீஸர் பார்க்க வராங்க. அந்த மாதிரி சுச்சுவேஷன் இருக்கிறப்ப வந்து எப்படி ஒரு ஸ்டூடெண்ட் வந்து ஒரு யூனிகார்ன் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு வந்து ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் போகும்னு சொல்லி எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணுறது ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது. எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன் ஆஃப் பேரண்ட்ஸ் வந்து ஃபஸ்ட்டு வந்து ஒரு டிசிஎஸ் ஒரு டாப் கம்பெனியில் போய் பையன் ஃபஸ்ட் உட்காருறாங்க. இன்றைக்கி வந்து யூனிகார்ன்ஸ் எல்லாம் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண ஆசைப்பட்டோம்னா நாம் என்ன பண்ணலாம் வந்து டாப் கம்பெனிஸ்லேயே வந்து we had to create such a kind of environment. இப்போ நிறையா கம்பெனிஸ் வந்து அந்த மாதிரி பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. நியூ ஐடியாஸ் they are making them as a partner. It is happening. So such a kind of things வந்து வரணும் சார்.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much. So I think thanks to all of you. This has been a great panel. So looking forward to discuss more ideas offline. These folks. Thank you so much.